Nemo, I'm so excited to see where we go today.
Yes, I'm excited myself. Thank you for creating this opportunity here, April.
And likewise, for agreeing to come in. So, are you ready?
Let's play.
Tell me, how would you like to be different after this conversation?
Yeah, I'm going with the thing that's really on top of my mind right now. Is I would love to leave here being different in two ways. One, and it's going to sound counterintuitive, but owning my laziness. And two, stepping, it's basically owning and stepping into a next level of visibility for myself. And so to make that second one a little bit more clear, I feel that I've been in a consumption mode where I've been looking to others as the thought leaders or the people who have the answers, and I'm trying to understand how to be there. And I don't want to. I would love to be different, not and by coming from a place of not just one who also creates content, but as the actual thought leader and part of what I do as a thought leader, as part of what I do as the pioneer on this path is to create content. So it's like I've come here already owning that, and the content is the result, not the not. I am also someone who is creating content, and hopefully that catches on. Does that make sense where I'm coming from?
Gotcha. What I'm hearing you say, you said two things: owning your laziness, and the second thing was stepping into your next level of visibility. And from the perspective of getting out of consumption mode where you're consuming information and where you're creating information for the sake of information, but as a thought leader, naturally, as part of that, you're creating content,
Yeah,
leading with the thought leader. That's the goal.
yeah.
Is that right?
It, yeah, the way I think of it is like it's almost like an identity shift of like, all right, Nemo, you're no longer playing at building it in this way. You're no longer playing. What would be fantastic is to be like, this is me. This is my message. This is who I'm leading. This is what I'm being visible because of this. Not, oh, this is the thing that people do in order to be visible or to build a business. Like I don't want to focus on the action of it. I'm really interested in the being of it. That's how I would love to be different. The action will be the same, but I think if we can get the transformation, the place that it will come from, it won't need motivation. It's just something that I do.
Mm. I love it. I love it. Moving from action as kind of the process to being
That's really
is the
it.
process.
That that would be a wonderful shift to actually embrace. I know that I want it intellectually. I know it's the right thing. It's harder to bring to life. I'm aware of it, but like it's harder to bring to life on my own. So if I'm shooting for the moon, that would be fantastic.
I like it. Shoot for the moon, of course. Of course. Okay, which would you like to address first? Owning your laziness or stepping into your next level of visibility?
Stepping into the next level of visibility is like I feel more energy around that.
Agree?
So why not play with that?
Yeah, I can feel that it's definitely heavier on that side in terms of where you are wanting to shift. Okay. How would you know that you stepped into this next level as a thought leader who also created content, quality content? We should qualify that, yeah.
Yeah,
How would you know?
it's a good one. I just want to think about it for a little bit. What's coming up for me is conceptually, I would have people following me, people who are there to be led specifically for me, as opposed to people who are seeing my content, right? So the idea there is like I would have a community. I would have a community there that is being served by me, and I am serving that community, as opposed to I am serving the world and whoever happens to see it, like, and enters my world. So I think at its core that would be it, where it's like, oh wait, these are my people. These, like, I would know if people started using words like, no, if they started identifying themselves as pioneers within the community. So they're like using the language. There's an identity portion for them, of like, yes, I am a pioneer, and they're actively using the terms that I use in their language. That to me says, okay, I'm coming from a place of actually leading versus just marketing.
Gotcha. Would this be measured, something measurable by number of followers per se, or?
Yeah, and I'm gonna be. Let's look at this here. I think there's a number of followers, or like, let's say I have a community, the Facebook group that has, I don't know what the number is that needs to be in there. For me to feel like the baseline area. I think it's even 5 people that I'm serving there. Like, it doesn't need to be hundreds upon hundreds for me to be coming from this place, right? So even 5 people within a Facebook group would be enough for me to know that I've made the shift, and I'm building my skills within that. So that feels good to say that, and that feels real. The other parts of it tie into just various ways of serving them deeper through, like, coaching programs and through group coaching. I think that there would be some measurements around that, where I think in my mind, what I'm seeing here is, well, as this coming up, is like people reaching out to say, "Hey, Nemo, I'd love to be coached by you. I'd love to be a part of your program. I'd love to take this another level. Like, I've been following what you've been saying. I've been using this in my office. I really want to spend more time with you in particular, or to help me understand how I can bring it to my own world differently." If I was, that to me also feels like a measure along the way. I don't know if I need, like, I don't know if it's like, I don't have percentages on that yet. Like, what percent of my business would need to be there, what number, how many people need to reach out in a year for me to feel that. Um, I feel that it's more of like, once the identity comes, there'll be various degrees of that, and it's just like, at this initial stage, the one person doing one person on each of these things would be enough for me to say, like, okay, like, I'm not just, I don't know, it's an odd feeling, April. It's almost like I feel like there's times I'm speaking out into the wind, and there's like, oh yeah, my friend, like, I'm getting the same people who like and comment and all that, but it doesn't really, I don't really feel like they're my people, from the standpoint of, well, I really respect it, and it's been really helpful to get me to this point here, to keep me in the game. Um, it doesn't feel as though, like, they're following me, or they're following the words, or it's showing up in their world, and they're like, this is really nice, and then they're continuing on. I'm a part of their world, but it's not from a place of leading.
Gotcha. But that's interesting. What I heard you say was you would know there's this community and a community identity. They're following you not just because it's nice, but because they identify with this tribe, so to speak, your tribe, the tribe that you brought together, and that people would actively opt in to your tribe specifically because of the message and what this community represents. Does that
Yes,
capture it?
that does, like, they want to be there. They want to hear what's next, and they're not like, they're there on purpose.
Right, right,
They're
right.
there on purpose.
Um, Here's a question. Who are you as a thought leader? What is your identity?
That's a really fun one for me. I don't know how to answer it. I can feel myself trying to answer this here. So who am I as a thought leader? I am. I'm someone who is really passionate about my mission in life, and that mission is to bring together a truly inclusive and empowered world. And the bringing together part of it for me is the first part that really is important, where it's like I'm not trying to create, I'm not trying to like manifest, I'm like, I believe it's all out there, how can I bring it together, right? So as a thought leader, I am someone who's bringing people together, bringing ideas together, bringing concepts, bringing new ways of thinking together, right? And basically taking, helping removing silos and bringing us together, right? So that's one part of who I am as a thought leader. The next part of who I am as a thought leader goes back to the truly inclusive part. So for me, true inclusion is not about race, gender, sexual orientation. It's about, honestly, in this, like, the only thing that we have in common out of all the 7+ billion people on this earth is that we're all different. And so it's like, rather than trying to group people around how we're the same, like, I fundamentally believe that when true inclusion comes out there, we are able to say, wow, you're different. That's awesome. Like, now that we have you as part of this mix here, we can do something that we couldn't have done beforehand. And so I represent true inclusion from the standpoint of celebrating and valuing the things that make us different, celebrating and valuing our unique talents and strengths. And that to me would be like, as a thought leader, I would want to come from that place. I would want to make sure that my thought leadership speaks to how we can like uncover our unique values and strengths, how we can celebrate that, how we can value that for ourselves first as people, instead of we don't need it to be valued by other people, you know. So it's like we know our own self-worth, and we're able to walk through life, work, business, all that with that inner knowing and creating from that place. This is really fun for me because I haven't thought of it in this way. It's like, wait, hold on, who I am it is my mission. As a thought leader, I am the person that brings us together and tears down silos and helps us actually just come together. I am around true inclusion, around the celebrating and valuing the things that make us different. And then the next part is around true empowerment. And for me, when I look at power, power is defined by two words for me: vulnerability and authenticity. So who I am as a thought, this is really cool. Who I am as a thought leader is someone who leads from a place of vulnerability and authenticity, and shows how that is powerful, and is able to go there first, to come from that place of being powerfully vulnerable, being powerfully authentic, and helping others to be able to navigate that for themselves so that they can be empowered. And the last one I want to look at, and I don't do this often, but I'm going to do this here because this has shown up for me very differently than what I thought it would, is world. I said to bring together a truly inclusive and empowered world. And when I look at that there, I think from a thought leader perspective, that word is really important. I think what's going on in my mind right now is I'm wrestling with, do I mean,
Let me slow you down. Which you said
yeah,
is a truly inclusive and empowered world, and you said that word is really important. The world.
yes, that word, the word world
Okay.
is really important.
Okay.
And I'm searching right now in this moment, just being real about it. What's going on in my mind is, do I mean the world, or do I mean my world / your world? And in this moment, as a thought leader, who I am as a thought leader is to help you be able to do this for your world.
What is this?
And pardon?
What is this? Help you
To
with this.
Yeah, so this is to help you be able to show up powerfully and authentically and vulnerably, to help you be truly inclusive by celebrating and valuing your own gifts and doing the same for others, to create those kind of spaces in your life, in your relationships, in your business, in your career, for you and your team and your companies, and your clients. You know, that's to me this here. And then the world aspect of it, I think it's really your world. I'm like, your circle of influence, the place that you want to really, the people in your life, both currently or who you want to bring into your life. But I think it's I think that's really important as opposed to the world, because I think at first it was the world where it's like we need to change the whole world, we need to do social good toward everything. And I think that if we're able to change your world, or the world around you, then my mission my mission gets to be taken care of through your missions in life.
Kind of like
Yeah.
you're bringing you help people to see their own light and to embrace their light through these ways. Truly empowerment, vulnerability, authenticity, inclusive, no silos. You help them basically see their light and see other light, really. And then you kind of pass it on. That's the word picture that kind of comes up for me. Does that sound right?
That sounds right. I have a legit smile there. I'm like, I feel seen right here.
Good,
Yeah.
good. Okay. So then that sounds like, well, that's one light at a time. Building that community is one light at a time.
Yeah, I think that's that feels right. There's elements of it there that I think it is one light at a time. It is one light at a time, and I think that there are areas where I can feel comfortable with that because I have a big personality, right? And I like, yeah, seriously, right? That's why I had to come to you because I know you can take that, right, and help me even take that personality and expand it further, right?
Mhm.
You're one of the few people I know that can like really make that come to life. And so I think the part of like the visibility part for me, there are the things that are at ends where it's like one person at a time, and I feel like I have the capacity to be honestly in really with my mission there, like to be like the next Martin Luther King, you know, to be the next Nelson Mandela, like that, like to play a game like on like a Barack Obama level of like, look, this is there are important things that need to get done. Like my way of doing it, honestly, will be to help people see the light, for them to see their light, and to share their light with other people. I really like how you just put that there. Like that will be my method. But I honestly feel that I have the capacity to help shift the world, from that perspective. And so there's a tension that takes place with, you know, one light at a time. And well, then how am I going to get to 7 billion lights? Right. And so right now my approach, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this, or maybe it's not anywhere we need to explore. But right now my approach is one on one times X times whatever number it is, right? So it's like it is one light at a time, and can I share how that light is being lit for others so that you know they can light themselves, but it isn't a message to 500 people. It's like no, it's a message to one person, you
Mm.
know, and 500 people are witnessing that, and that message is coming to them however it needs to. That's how I feel like I am going to be able to balance the two parts of it. But I can also feel like some vulnerability in that because it's like I'm how does that work? Like how does that work? And how does
Yeah,
it work, April? Sorry, go ahead.
go ahead.
No, how does it work to like to really own here the light? I help people light themselves up, you know, help people shine their light and see the light in others, right? Like in terms of owning and the visibility part, that's something that it's really hard for me to own. It's really hard for me to own out like from a what I would consider a more visible perspective there because it feels frou frou. It's the most important thing in the world, and it feels like intangible. It feels fluffy. It feels, you know, it feels like joy is a great place for me. And when I can really play from joy, I have this thing around how do I still remain grounded? How do I still create an impact for people while coming from a place of joy versus coming from a place of depth or seriousness or deep work? You know, it's like if there's deep work, I want to be able to do joy work with people too. And if
There
you
was
look
a
at it there,
lot.
that's
There was a
yeah,
lot in what you just said. Can we unpack that a little bit?
yeah. Please do.
Um, well, first, there's the tension between you said originally that we want to bring together this community with an identity and this connection, this idea of connection. So um, you agree that the helping people see their own light and see the light in others, like that one at a time, and yet there's a disconnect between yes, you want to do that, and hey, I want to light someone who is seen by 500 other people, and they get lit too. So there's kind of a one on one, and also the ocean at the same time, and that feels natural that there would be some disconnect. How does that land for you? That there's disconnection here, just between those two things.
Honestly, it feels like it can make or break me in a lot of different ways. Because I tend to go and try and boil the ocean. When you use the word ocean in particular, that one like it has meaning for me in other ways. So it feels like it can make or break me in either way. Where it's like, oh, I don't feel like if I focus too much on the one-on-one, the one person aspect of it, I'm like, oh man, am I really hitting what I came here to do? And at the same time, if I focus too much on the ocean, it's like I lose the depth. I lose the did I actually even change one person's life? Honestly, going back to kind of the visibility part here, it's like I think like I know people see me. That's not really really the issue, but it's like am I being able to impact them and help them transform in a way, or empower them in a way that's beyond just like a motivational or inspiring quote for the day, or like not quote but like thought for the day. So I think that's one part where it feels like it feels like it could be a make or break. And the other part that came up also felt like a solution to me, which felt fine. It actually felt really good, which is like one to one to many. Instead of just like one to one or one to many, it's like one to many.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's yeah, I'm smiling right now.
Is there a scarcity fear here that you won't make the impact that you want to make?
There's definitely a scarcity component to it. And it's odd because as I think about it, it's like there's a scarcity component around the impact based on an abundant component, where it's like, sheesh, if I feel like I could be playing at such a big level, then not playing there right now feels off to me. So it's like, Nemo, if you did fundamentally believe that you could really usher in, like sometimes I'll call it like world joy or the modern renaissance. If you really believe that you can do this kind of stuff, yeah, there's scarcity around like, A, who are you to do it? B, it's very new. At least it feels new to me. It's not something that I feel like people just grasp onto because it's like compliments, for example, April. It blows my mind. But when I say nice, true things to people, they're like, what are you trying to get at? What are you really trying to say? Or someone asks for feedback and all I tell them is the great things about them, not like the not the fluffy I'm afraid of saying bad things. I'm like, I just don't care the things that you do poorly because you do them poorly. Like I care about the things you do really like great, and I love you to do that exceptionally or like spectacularly. Like take that up levels so that what the things that are poor for you kind of get washed off. But there's this disconnect there. It's like, look, I can step into that, and that's how I believe, but there aren't many people who speak from that place. There's not many people who have experiences from that place, and it feels like, can I really create? Can I really shift the whole mentality when like the systems, our beliefs, everything we've had has been more lined up to not readily accept what I'm offering.
It is a beautiful, huge undertaking. Yeah. But it's clear that it resonates with you so deeply. You want to see well joy. You want to also, I think you said to me previously, like I want to go to depth. Like I don't do small talk. I think you said, "Hi, I'm Nemo. I don't do small talk." Right. So there's both, and I'm hearing kind of like to come back to joy and depth. I hear that you feel that maybe you have to choose one or the other.
Yeah, let's play with that a little bit here because someone called it. She said, "Nemo, you have this wonderful, unique joy power." It's like she just uses like a word, joy power. It's not like joy power, or the power of joy. It was just like joy power, And so that's like to me is like joy in the depth there. So, yeah. So I think that's the place where there's a part of me that if I'm going to be seen, I want to be seen fully. And April, I think that's part of the message, right? That's part of like letting your light out there is really being seen fully, being fully expressed. And so I'd say all this knowing that like I don't want to only be joy in depth either. I want anger, I want sadness, I want to be real in all the elements. I want to be disappointed, in myself and in others, and be able to express all that. And so I think that the joy power is like my strongest element. It's where I want to lead from. It's where I want to come from. And I want to make sure that there's still, how do I say it? I don't want to have to just be joy power for people. I don't want to have to be anything for anyone. I want to be me and create a large impact out there. I want to have good days. I want to have bad days. I want to be able to show up and not show up, so on and so forth. And I think there's a part of it that around the visibility, around all this stuff here, it's like, how do I do it in a way that's still easy, light, fun, and makes a huge impact out there? And my answer to that is typically work through your strengths, joy and power. Like I don't need to get better at expressing sadness. I just need to get better at expressing myself, and then all that will come. But yeah, I am trying to figure out like how do I leverage my. There's a lot of the light shining that I do. Like so, I'll walk into people like Nemo. You may not know this, but the energy actually shifts in the room. Like you literally light up a room, and I hear it from people like multiple times, and so I believe that it's true. And yet I don't know how to. I, I haven't had too many experiences of that coming back to me, so I don't actually know what it is that they're feeling or what's happening. Like if I'm the light source, like I don't see around. I want to see my own shadows, and make sure that I can bring them out to light too. But there's a disconnect around like how do I leverage this, and do it at a larger scale for people.
I mean, that makes sense. Like I've experienced you know how it is when you have a really bright light, somebody shines a really bright light in your eye, you can only see that light, right? And when you are that bright light, there's lots of shadow. Well, yeah, because you have to be this light, right? I've experienced you. You are a big personality. You're very visible, and your energy is very. Um, it carries a room. That's a strength. But I'm hearing you say that you don't see other bright lights like you in the room. Is that
Yeah, I think for me that is that's real. I'm getting better at it now. I think in the last year, I've really been able to attract other bright lights and put myself more in places where bright lights are playing. And here it is. I've stopped dimming my light, because it used to be like, oh, okay, I guess we're not bright here. Turning it down, turning it down. I guess here, like this is where we're at. Cool. But when I'm really on my game, it's like this is it. Like hey, I'm staying bright if it's too much for you. And like, and this is the, when you think about the bright light, it's like I can be like a laser, you know, I can be like all the light, it's just focused right on you, or it can be very, very widespread. And it's actually really interesting thinking about this from the concept of light, because abstractly I can conceptualize that. Um, and I think it's about like having the range between like the full spectrum of light, between like the laser, okay, I'm working here, and being broad, and to also just acknowledge like I'm a light bulb. Yeah, I'm a light. I'm a light. I'm like a light source, as opposed to being like no, 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 no. You can tell me I'm a light bulb, but like I don't really. It's so weird, April. It's so weird because I know it to be true, and at the same time, it's like, have I really fully embraced it? Do I really know what does it mean for me? And then what does it mean like? How do I turn that up?
Turn down for what?
Exactly.
Right? Like what? Why? What you said resonates with me because it's true, right? Of leaders, this is true of very bright lights, people who are woke to the fact that I, just a big personality. Like, and I see a lot of things other people don't see, like you, right? Come into a room and I dominate the room with consciously or unconsciously, right? And I bet that's true of you. I've experienced it. Your joy power, let's use your word, your joy power absolutely dominates, absolutely dominates. So here you're saying, I want to play with the visibility, but you can't hide. You don't hide.
Yeah, it's so interesting for me. So this happened in real time. When you said it absolutely dominates, the first time I was like, I don't know if it hit, you know. Then you said it again, and I just felt like this like drop in my chest. I could like feel. I felt like an internal sensation. I don't know what it is, um, but I'd love to explore that a little bit there because I did not expect anything there. But I think it's like the idea of like it felt bad. It felt like, oh no, it's dominated. You know, it's I'm making it about me, or there's no space for other people, or like, oh man, like I'm trying to empower others and I'm just dominating them. You know, and it's and so I really appreciate this because like I like to pay attention to what's happening through all my sensations, and if that feeling of dominating when I get into a room, I think that's really, I think there's two parts of it for me. I love to explore that, and I think the other part of it is like there's a loneliness. That's also like a place. That's the same place where my fear kicks in, where my excitement kicks in, and where my loneliness kicks in. Like when I'm feeling alone, and my number one fear is being alone, right? And I think there's nuances to that now, because I know I would never like I can be physically alone, but I think it's that element of like when I dominate, or if I come off dominating to people, I feel like I'll be very alone because it's been hard to find. It's like I'm looking for rooms where my bright light is the dimmest in the room.
I get
You
it.
know what I'm saying?
I get it.
Yeah.
Let's check though. Is this a wordplay? I use the word dominate, but let's check. What does dominate mean to you?
So dominate to me. Thank you for this. I think language is super important. So dominate to me, it means like absolute control. It means absolute control. It means no freedom on the other end. What dominate to me feels it feels heavy, and for some like the word like lack of intellectual stimulus comes into mind. Like when I think about dominate, it's like ah, crap. Like I'm not growing. Like domination doesn't feel like growth to me. It's like I came in with what I had, and I'm utilizing everything that I had, and that's it. There's nothing new that I like. I am not leaving here. as a different person. I'm not growing through this here because if I'm dominated, then everyone else must be dominated. And it's like it just feels like there's like a level thing going
We're not
on.
equals.
Yeah, we're not equals, and I'm up here, and if I'm dominating, then it's like there's two feelings that come out, which is like, okay, people aren't going to like me because I'm being way too forceful for them. Um, they're not going to have enough space, and not like that, or I'm not going. Or on the other side, I may not like them because I'm like, there's no challenge in this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's no challenge. If there's no challenge, there's no growth. And then like, what am I doing here? Like, yes, I can do this here, but like now you're making me do all the work. It just feels like dominating sometimes can feel like a lot of work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you're carrying the room
Yeah.
and you don't want that. You want to be challenged. You said that. No challenges, way too forceful. We're not equals. There's no growth. It feels heavy. So let's insert a different word just to check how it feels
Mm-hmm.
for you. Your energy is very expansive in a room, very visible, very magnetic, strong, confident. How do those words feel?
Yeah. I don't have a physical reaction to those. I don't have a physical reaction to those words. I think we were talking about this in the past conversation, but when I think about the dominate part of it, it comes off. I think it strikes on intimidation. All right, it strikes on it strikes on. To me, there's a bit of fear, right, that comes out there. If I have all the control and people don't feel like they have control, then like they lash out, you know, and for me, it feels that when that happens, like that's the path to being ostracized or to be teased. Like that's kind of probably how I grew up, how it happened when I was young. Through the mental part of being kicked out of the tribe, like you know what, Nemo, you're just like way too much, like way too forceful. I'm out. Like like how dare you? You don't know my life. How dare you put that out there? You know, how dare you try and then the other part of it being like the life or death feeling where it's like if I'm intimidating the people and as a black man growing up in America, if I was intimidating the people, like it could result in someone calling the cops. It happened to me. Like literally, people came to my house. They had friends from my hometown. They came to my house. They walked inside. They met my parents. They had water. They used the bathroom, and then I left with them. And we made it 2 blocks. We didn't leave like our development compound. We made it 2 blocks, still within the development area, and we were pulled over by a cop, and that cop was called in because they're like, "Hey, we saw some suspicious people." I got a call that there were some suspicious people in the neighborhood, and it was just one of those moments where it's like, "Can I live? Can I live?" And there's in that interaction, it was really interesting because there were like 4 people in the car, so two other black and Hispanic men. I was the smallest out of all of them.
How old were you?
That's a good question. I don't know. I was probably around. It was early 20s.
Mhm.
There were. I was the smallest of the men in the car, and there was a woman, and she's European by her background, but she's American, right? So what I'm saying, she's a white woman, right? And we were in there, and it was just really interesting to see the difference in the dimensions there, where it was just like the three of us, the 3 men, were all like, "Hey, just whatever it is," and she was like fuming in the back, "But this is ridiculous!" All that. We're like, "Yes, we get it," and like if this goes wrong, like all of it could end very, very, very badly for us.
Right. And she would
So
be
yeah,
fine, but you would be in jeopardy.
I, exactly,
Your life is
exactly.
at stake, literally. Yeah.
And that's so like so when I hear dominated and when I think about intimidated, like it really does become it becomes a life or death thing for me in a couple different ways. Like the figurative, like will I be kicked out of the community, and will I like will I have to like live life alone, and that feels like to me like the death of self in some ways. And then like the actual physical part of hold on, if someone doesn't like me, like right now, if they're not strong enough to handle me, like the this is the way that my mind works around it. But it's like if like if they're feeling weak, what they'll do is rather than coming up and resolving it with me, they'll take measures into their own hands, which will likely in the systems that I'm in cause my death, either but through law enforcement, through do I have like the means to take someone to court, or to like survive in court or whatever it is that right. And so it's like I don't want to scare you because quite frankly, you're weaker than I am. And if I do that, you're going to take measures that are going to show a line of strength that extend beyond there. And it's really uncomfortable for me to say that, April. Quite frankly, you're weaker than I am. That phrase feels very uncomfortable to say because I don't know. I don't have the right language to like in terms of wordplay. I haven't really discovered the language to really capture it. I think of it on the power thing, not because it's like I'm powerful, but I'm like, are you strong enough within yourself to just be able to handle this here? You know, and are you strong enough within yourself to handle a strong personality or a different personality or something that you don't know, right?
Right. That makes sense. First, no judgment
Mm-hmm.
in this space. You're weaker than I am. That's true. People have different strengths, and you have a very strong personality that the world needs to see, all of it. So that makes sense. Um, I'm hearing kicked out of the tribe. This dominance, dominating brings up a fear, being kicked out of the tribe, and also this is very real fear. As a Black man, you cannot be intimidating. Um, very real fear. You get that. Um, Tell me about this kicked out of the tribe. Is there a memory?
Yeah, this one I can feel pretty. Let's see. I know the feeling that kicked out of the tribe. It's not in the dominating part of it, but it's when I first when I realized it, and kind of like the light sharing and just being fully on me, right? So there are two. It happened in high school. But there's two moments that came for me. The first was I was in a social studies class, and we were sitting in our seats, and we had just finished a test, and we're getting the grades back. And the person in front of me got his grades, his test back, and then the teacher put my test on my desk. And the person in front of me goes around, looks at his grade, turns around, grabs my paper off my desk without like anything going on, and just makes this huge scene in the room. And he looks at it, I think I got like a 94 or like a 96. Like I don't even think it was like a perfect score, but it was like it's made this huge deal around like, hey, I worked so hard on this. I can't believe like Nemo, you like it was Niyama at the time actually. But it's like I can't believe that like of course you would get this grade, of course you would, and all that, right? And there was this huge like it was this scene that took place, and the whole entire room was feeling it. And what I felt in that moment was a realization in that moment. That realization being, hold on, if I'm successful, if I'm someone who's successful, then I make other people feel bad. And if I make other people feel bad, then they don't want to hang out with me. And if they don't hang out with me, then I'm going to be all alone. And that's like, I have been an outsider most of my life. I've had to work very hard to get in a lot of different ways. I think a lot of the work that I'm doing right now is like, I just want to just be, I don't want to have to try and get in. But I feel that was like that's the first memory I have of really like saying, oh wait, hold on, dim the lights. dim the lights, like don't be that successful, you know. And that carried on through me throughout the rest of high school in particular. Whereas I can just think of all these moments where I was successful but never successful enough, you know, or rather, yeah, never successful enough is the wrong way to put it. It was almost like successful on the sly, you know, like I had a grade, I had one grade where it's like literally the teacher was posting our grades and you could see every week that my grade was going lower and lower and lower and lower. And like everyone could see it. And like it just got to a certain point where I was like, okay, now turn it on. Okay, now let me do the extra credit. I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll get all this stuff here. Boom, 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 boom. Ended up with like a decent enough grade. It really, I let it go too far. I did let it go too far. But it's like, hey, look, yeah, I did well, but I didn't study. I wasn't doing my homework. I didn't X, Y, Z. You know, it's like, don't be mad at me for doing it. You know, it's part of what led to procrastination and all that other stuff. There was like, oh, yeah, I just had to make that up on the top of my head because I didn't do anything. You know, and that kind of carried all the way through until my senior year of college, and it's continued to play out afterwards. But the other memory that ties to this year was I got into Cornell for my college years, and I remember sitting in the middle of an English class, and there were four. It's the end of the year. Everyone knows what they're doing with college. Like a teacher, just like you're never gonna have these moments again. You're never gonna all be in the same room. There's nothing else I need to teach you. Let's just enjoy. And I heard from the table next to me someone come out and say, "Can you believe that out of all of us, Nemo's the one that got into an Ivy League institution, into an Ivy League college? Are you kidding me? Out of all of us, him?" And that like really like hit back on it. That hit on it. It's like I went for it, and now I'm hearing how separate I am from you, you know. And I took that into place of like, okay, yeah, I don't really belong. I mean, April, if we really talk to me about anything in the world, it's always about how to like it's always a sense of belonging.
Right.
It's always a sense of belonging for
And
me.
that makes sense why you have such a strong tie. Like that makes sense why you're experiencing the dissonance. You want to create a community. You want to also touch the light one by one. And feel and kind of sense for you is like one on one, but let's not lose belonging because it's very strong for you, which is really a projection or maybe a manifestation of your fear. And I hold that up as an observation. How true does that feel?
It was very true. Like it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, I know I can build a business around this because I'm gonna always, and I don't want to condemn myself to always be looking for belonging, but I also think that it is a part of me, and it's something that recently I've been looking at and saying like, oh wait, but this is part of what's allowed me to also be successful because I've learned how to find my own way of belonging where it doesn't look like I would belong, you know,
Yeah,
so I
you're
can.
turning down just enough to like, I'm gonna show you. I know I can be level 10. I'm gonna be level 9 just so that I can not rattle anybody, or 8 or 6 or 5.
Let's be real, four. Like for me, it's
Really?
like, yeah.
Oh,
Well, I mean, like, so I can play on different. Nowadays, it's just eight through 10. You know, realistically. But I think that ended up being a conscious choice over time. You know, and so ooh, this is coming up right now. That I think fits with the one-on-one part, one-to-one, and the belonging part, and the visibility here. That when I is this like because of my fear of being alone, I and because of what they said, honestly, like when they said like you can you live out of all of us, Nemo doesn't belong in that school, right? I made it a point for the next 4 years to go out and know everyone, you know. And I'm not saying I actively consciously said I need to do this. I wasn't sitting at home saying this that, and the other, but I knew everyone. Like 1 in 13 people knew my like I was connected with, and most people knew my name, right? April, I'm just gonna keep going because I'm gonna create my own little brag zone here. This is one of my favorite memories. It's like
Oh,
the end. Thank you. At the
yes.
end of senior year, someone comes up to me and she's like, I introduce myself. I'm like, oh hey, I'm Nemo. And she's like, you're Nemo? Ah, thank goodness. Like I thought I was gonna graduate without ever having met you. Like that's like it was a cool time.
That's
It was
what's
a cool time.
up.
Yeah, it was a really cool time. And then what happened is that we graduated or like things like I had a whole lot of weak ties. You know, the way I look at it is like I was very well known, but I wasn't known well. And it's a thing right now that's working on me, where it's like over the last year I've been really focused on one light at a time, one light at a time. And in the one light at a time perspective, I was allowing people to get to be known well, get to know me well. You know, I was I was getting some time to get to know myself well. You know, I think that like this is part of what is up for me, where it's like I don't want to. I love being able to have like a real conversation with you, April. It's part of what led to this happening in general. Like I can just call you and we can have real conversations, and I don't want to lose that. And at the same time, I also know that like I have the capacity and I have the skill set and I have a natural tendency to also like create a whole lot of connection. And I think,
But is it going to be the kind of connection that's meaningful?
and that's the challenge that I have right now. That's part of the challenge that I have right now. Like when I think about what I'm creating, so I've been really particular with my words recently, and one of the things that I think about is like almost like a framework of connection. And there's a distinction between connection and relationship. And I feel like a lot of people are looking for connection. I've done connection. Like I've had a network of people. People have known me, or known of me. You know, I've done connection. There's a whole bunch of these things. Right now, what I'm looking for is relationship. And I think like when I think about relationship, it goes right back to the mission, right? It's like we're bringing together, like we're celebrated, we're valued, but the things that make us different. Well, you need to know me. You need to really know me
But
to know
relationships
what
are
that is.
made one light at a time. Real deep connection and relationship is one at a time. That's not a holistic, it's not an ocean.
So what's the like? I think for me, I'm trying to figure out like what's the I don't have time to meet 7 billion people, right? Is what's going on in my mind. So how do I? So what's my way of being able to still be able to create one at a time and still be visible from that place? So like if I'm like, because in my mind I'm thinking, I feel like this is an example where we can just be here, but it's like I think I need I want to get like some clarity or explore a little bit around like what that looks like,
What is
because
that?
it's thank you. Being able to accomplish my vision one person at a time. All right.
Okay. Let me slow you down
Yeah.
1 second because there's something that's happening for me coming up as you're talking.
Yeah.
You got these two objectives, one at a time and 7 billion people. I want it all, right?
Yeah.
And here's what I want to ask you. If you slow all the way down and touch to what's really true for you, what place would you come from if you were already safe? You already belonged.
I can like sorry, I can really feel a lot going on. My whole body's tingling and my face is smiling. Um, there's only one thing that comes to mind. If I already belonged, there's literally nothing I can do that's wrong. Literally, I can do no wrong, and it's like to me that is just invincibility. It's like it's no matter how I show up, it's the right thing because like I belong. It's like, yeah, of course, this is what Nemo does. Nemo does something big, or Nemo does something small, or Nemo is really intense, and then Nemo's gone for a while. Like, that's just who he is, you know? And we love him for that. That's the part that he plays within our community. That's the part that he plays in our life. So if I was just coming from that, I just feel like there'd just be just levity and lightness there, where it's just like, this is just how this just is, you know? Okay, great. Like, for my part, it allows me to just create whatever I need to create. It allows me to be visible in the way that I want to be visible at that time. Um, and it's just this element of like, I don't need to try and figure out the way that figure out what is working, how it's working, all that. I just need to show up. If I just belong, like literally all I have to do is show up, and it's already great.
Okay. I'm going to mirror that back. There's a levity. I don't need to try what's working, what's not working. I just show up, and it's already great. How would that impact your business? This your joy power, what you want to create.
I think from my standpoint here, coming from a place of I already belonged, that would I think that would be like the shift. That would be the shift that I was talking about, where it's like, this is mine. Like I already belong here. And like I I I I don't know how to describe it. It's for me, that's like infinite possibility comes from there, because I can just do whatever needs to get done. You know, there's like whatever I feel like doing, whatever needs to happen. Like I don't even know how to describe it. Like it would be the light shining, because it's like, oh, hey, guess what? I showed up today. Like, let's play. Like, this is what we have. Let's go. I'm not trying to come off a certain way, or I think it is like, I think it's because I can feel in my mind. I can feel like the but, right? I can feel like the rational side coming in. It's literally over here on the left side of my like of my head here, and I can feel like the but, like trying to keep its way in, where it's like, but people won't understand it. They won't like take it. They'll ask, well, tell me what the tangible thing is. Tell me how do I measure this? All that stuff. And whenever I say it, I can hear the forcefulness in my voice here, um, and in my mind, it's like I just know that I just have a deep knowing that it would work. Um, just like there's just no fear that's involved in that. It just it feels not mainstream, right? And I
But
think that
Nemo,
like
you're not mainstream. There's nothing about you that's mainstream. You're an American black guy who lives in Singapore, who's married to a white woman. You you have words made up about you, joy power. You get your own words.
I do get my own words. I do get people are like, I want to feel more enjoyment. I'm like, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. I get my own words. Yeah.
There's nothing mainstream about you, not in how you think, not in how you show up, not in how you represent your identity or how you project your identity. Mainstream doesn't get you, and they never will. That is by design.
Okay. I don't even know if I can talk right now. Okay, there it is. But yeah, thank you. And there's a part of this that's still really painful. I can feel it. Um, there's a lot that I want to reflect on out loud. But what's going on for me is I just keep hearing mainstream doesn't get you, and it never will. That is by design, and like that just keeps repeating in my head. And there's instantly deep sadness with it. Deep sadness. There's this feeling of like, wow, I may never be able to be loved in that component. Um, like there'll be people out there that just won't like me. I can feel that, or don't that won't get me. Who I am, what I am, won't won't get for them. I think if I'm being real, I think a lot of what this is for mainstream to get me. And I'm like, okay, well, how do I change the world so that I can be gotten? Um, and so there's the deep sadness in that because like there's a sense of just loneliness around that. In this current moment, there's a sense of a bit of fear of like, oh, if mainstream doesn't get me, then can I like actually sustain the business on all that? I know that part doesn't feel as real, but I'm just gonna allow all the expressions to come out right now. And so there was also like a sense of being free in there that came up, which I honestly feels like just an amazing gift. Um, the freedom came from like almost letting it go, or knowing that like it's okay to let them go. Um, and knowing that like that's like my power, my people, the people that I really serve, they're not the mainstream. They're and they're not the laggards. They're not the people in the middle. They're not the people at the end. They are just consistently early adopters. And so I'm thinking about this from like the diffusion of innovation curve. That's what I literally see in my mind. It was a bell curve, and it's usually used to describe how like technological, just basically adoption of anything new. Where there's like, 16% of the population is early adopters and innovators. They're going to jump on something new. 34% of the population is early majority. Then there's another 34 that are late majority, and then there's laggards, right? So it feels odd to me because what this feels like to me, if I'm not mainstream, then I basically have 16%. 16% of people are available to me. You know, and now what's going on in my mind? I'm gonna geek out a little bit, but I'm like, what's 16% of 7 billion? I'm like, that's still. I think I'll be okay with that. 16% of 7 billion is still more like I'll be good. I'll be good with that part there.
What part would be good? The business aspects or the acceptance, belonging
I
part?
think I think the I think the belonging part. To be honest, the belonging part is what comes up there, where it's like, because I have confidence in my business. I have confidence in my ability to create money and to provide value and to be compensated accordingly. It's part of what I need to do in terms of true inclusion, to celebrate and value the things that make me different. There's a price tag to the way that Nemo shows up, right? There's a way, there's an investment that's in there, and I feel good around that. The part of it that comes out here is almost like it goes back to the distinction on world, the world versus your world. Like my world is 16% of the world. If that makes
Okay,
sense.
okay. Well, let me break it
Like,
down because you just went to like, oh, there must be only 16%, and let's slow down a second. We don't actually
okay,
know how big that population size is, okay? And it's not
cool.
really actually important because what if your power is to stand for people who are the early adopters? What if that's why you're here in this moment, in this time? Your power is to stand for them and to stand with them.
Yeah, that feels true to me. There's a lot going on right now in my mind, but that feels true to me. And what feels right about that is that I also feel like it will get to the mainstream through the early adopters. There are a lot. There are going to be those people. Some of those people are going to be much closer to the mainstream, and that is also by design. So if I can help those people who are much closer to the mainstream, then they can and help them shine their light. They'll be able to do it in a way that the mainstream will be able to take in and go from there. But like
But
I'm,
there's still what I hear from you is there's still like, okay, so I'm going to get the early adopters and then they're going to get the mainstream people.
yep.
What if, why do the mainstream people need to get it at all?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Okay, I can answer this one. So for me, it's like chicken and egg that comes on, right? Which is it's like so. All right, this is the ocean, right? Boiling the ocean, right? Um, the idea here being okay. I'm just checking in with myself because I want to make sure I'm actually giving myself time to think about this question differently than I
Take
normally
one
will.
second. I'm going to get my power charger and I want you
Yeah,
to think about it. Okay.
yeah. Let me think about this. So I have two answers to this here, and I'm going to keep myself open to other parts of it. The parts that come up is for me is why do I need to get it at all? It's because if they don't get it, then my early adopters we're going to have a lot of hard work ahead of them. So they're going to be going against the grain all the time versus being able to be in a place where there's more space for them. So I think this comes down to I see it a lot where it's like for me if I'm talking about being authentic, it's like I can be one of the things that's been really hard for me to learn is like I have to have my own sense of I'm good because the whole like and get to my own personal level of belonging because the rest of the world may not see it that way, right? And so I have to almost carry around my own. I have to do a lot of work around that, right? And I'm willing to do the work because the rewards are really high. To be able to show up like this and to express myself and to feel all this, like it's so rewarding, and it's going against the grain. And so I feel like there's an aspect of like why I would want the mainstream to get it, quote unquote, at some point, whatever that looks like for them. It's just so that it allows us to, so that the early adopters themselves don't have to keep going against the grain. And then I think when I look at it from my real mission here, it's when I talk about like world joy or the modern day Renaissance. It's like the idea of like, honestly, as a human race, if we are able to come from a place of more abundance, more celebrating and value into things that make us different, and get us and get out of the constructs that we were kind of born into, or that have gotten us to look at things from the standpoint of um, how much we are the same and different, like basically the things that divide us right now. If we're able to get it away from those constructs, then like I feel that as a civilization, we have the technology we have, with the brains that we have, with the resources that we have out there, like our whole world would be able to transform. It would be a different world. Like this, and this is the reason why do the work here. But I really appreciate you because that's like that to me is the part that's important. And now, oh whoa, whoa, something new is coming to me right now that is very interesting. I'm not sure how ooh, I'm not sure how I feel about this. I don't know how I feel about this. Ah, crap. Crap. What's happening for me right now, April, is I don't know if I'm Harry Potter. I don't know if I'm Harry Potter. It doesn't make sense to you yet. I'll explain. I might be Dumbledore and not Harry Potter. So what I mean by that is I said I have the ability to be the next Martin Luther King or Obama or Nelson Mandela. And each of them is Harry Potter. Each of them, like, they are the hero of the story, right? I might be Dumbledore though, right? I don't know who any of their mentors were, but I'm the person that's like, I might be the person that's helping to groom and help my early adopters for them to be the Obamas, the you know the game changers in the world. I might sheesh. And I think it's true. I think like what's happened for me is I think it's true here. It's like I have a part of me that wants to be the hero of the story, but I don't think that I am. I think that each of them will go off and do their greatness in the world, and I'll be the person behind them on it. I'll be their Gandalf. Like I'm just thinking about all these like like movie
Well, I'm glad that
references,
you
but
brought it up because when you were talking about the early adopters and going against the grain, the first thing that came up for me was, but is it your responsibility to manage how they show up in the world?
this is the part that's hard. This is the part that's hard because it's like it isn't my responsibility, and they impact me, right? So it's like it's not my response. Like I've taken on as my responsibility. That's part of my thing. April is like going back to the intimidation and all that stuff. Part of the reason I do coaching with people, it's like I want you to be a stronger person. I want you to have have the nervous system capability to have a space between fight or flight when it kicks in. I want to be able to show up powerfully for you, and for you not to feel threatened because there's a fear that goes on with that, right? And so there's a part of me that wants to say yes, Nemo, just like focus on you, just show up authentically, just like be powerful and all that stuff there. And the outside world, it's still very dangerous for me to move to do that, right? And so when I think about it here, it's like it feels like both of those things are necessary. I'll use it like in the it feels like the environment itself also needs to be shaped for it, right? It's like I have my own. I am super powerful, and I get that, and I'm looking for ways to be even more powerful out there. And right now, it feels like this versus like a dance, you know. I think about it with inclusion in the workplace, where it's like we can say we want everyone to bring their best self to work, but if they do and their managers aren't supporting them in bring it like being able to show to bring that out to life, that talent nowadays, luckily the talent has other options, you know. But like you hit the wall,
Yes.
you hit the wall, and so like so I think it's I think that like I can go out and create and bring together a group of people of entrepreneurs and leaders who are playing a bigger game and a different game and really are shining their light, and I'm being the Dumbledore for them, and I want to focus on that, and I also want to support them in getting the rest of the world ready for them to be there, ready for them so that they can be more embraced, so that they don't have to work as hard to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's elements in there where I may not ever work with those people like the mainstream one on one. Like that might just be my videos or you know things that they have out there. Like I will probably I no I don't not probably if I'm working with someone they're an early adopter. It's just naturally if they've gone through they're an early adopter. But I just feel like there's an element of like softening the ground for more people to be able to grow through it. So they're not just trying to, they're not like, yes, we've seen leaves crack through sidewalks, and they're like, look, you can bloom where you're planted. I'm like, yeah, but I'm sure that there would have been a lot more leaves if this was just like a field, you know. Like yes, it's possible to crack through the sidewalk, but like I don't want them to have to do it.
But again, is that your responsibility? Because the right flowers crack through the flower, and that actually defines them,
That's true.
right? It defines them. The ones that can't make it, that defines them and their path. And the ones that do,
I'm thinking about this. Yeah, I'm thinking about this here. I think what's come up for me is like, well, then, like, what is my responsibility, right? And I think like, like, I can hear on all ends here. Like, I have to answer that question from like a 360 perspective. I'm like, if this isn't my responsibility, then like, what is my responsibility? Is anything really my responsibility? You know, am I feeling a heaviness towards like responsibility at all? Should I just be responsibility free? You know, I think when I look at it, I'm like, I feel like I'm here on this earth to be able to create the space for those early adopters to be able to bloom, right?
fully.
Yeah, and part of that is getting them ready, and I do think there's a part of it that's also like it's on both ends. It's creating the people and then creating the environment. If I go first, if I go only with the people is the part that really needs to happen. Like the world will, there are more sidewalks than there are fields. Let's in using our conversation, right? However, if there are some things I can do to create some cracks along the way, like I'm comfortable doing that as well, just not through a direct portion. It's not like it's almost like I'm the raindrop that falls in and put another way. All right, putting it tangibly, right, into the business and into the work that I'm doing. To me, it feels like I work one on one. I have group programs. People come to my intensives and my offerings who are looking to get supported by me, right? They are the early adopters, and simultaneously, there's videos, there's other things out there that that spread thought leadership around. Hey, this is what the world could look like. My early adopters are going to see that, resonate with it, start playing with it in their own world, and come and work with me directly. Some of those other people, some of them might actually be early adopters that are like, I'm in a mainstream world. Come in to my organization. I'll call me in and lead a session on this to help break it up. You may not be the person that actually breaks the sidewalk, but if they need to hear this message 7 times, you can be the first. You know, and so I think so that they have more room within their world to be able to create from that place where they have more space there, and I'm comfortable doing that while also giving them the tools to do it for themselves. But I don't. But like my thing is, I will almost always have to be pulled because this is real for me here. I think what you're saying is really important. I'm not targeting the mainstream. I'm not going after the mainstream. And you're right, my message is not for the mainstream. My community is not for the mainstream, and it's making me really. It feels good to start owning that. It feels good to start owning that a lot more, and I'm comfortable making sure that the message can be heard by the mainstream at some point to create more space from that, or to help people realize, oh wait, hold on, I'm shaking myself up. I'm actually an early adopter. I just thought I had to hide amongst here. But I don't think it's like I don't think I'm looking to create for the mainstream.
Okay, that's fair. I would challenge you that mainstream's not your people. There's an element of like trying still trying to belong to the mainstream somehow, like connect to the mainstream. And what I'm hearing based on what we talked about, your power is the early adopters. Your power is standing for them. That invincibility that you're able to come into fully. You can't do that if you are trying to also make sure the mainstream can see you and can hear you.
Okay, that's very fair. That's very fair. Um, yeah, I'm hearing where you're coming from, and I can feel something like where things sit for me.
Mm-hmm.
And the two things around that there is when you said hear you and can see you. I'm like, no, I feel like when I'm thinking about it now conceptually, it's like can see and hear my early adopters, right? Because like
Okay.
it's like so it's not it's there's a part of me that's like no, it's that's not necessarily where I'm at,
Okay.
and at the same time, I also want to make sure that there's a part of me that's like I'm a pioneer, right? I'm the innovator at the very top part uh, of the bell curve, right? Um, and I think there's a part that's like if I'm not acknowledging that my early adopters will have to go against their own mainstream and help and not finding a way to actually build tools to actually make that possible and to work on both ends, then I'm not giving them the full equipment. It'd be like
Gotcha.
a part of it is out of it. It's not that like yeah, it's like there's something that I need to take on to understand what are the challenges around it and to be able to support them from that perspective. Like
Right.
I want to be a practitioner myself, and the fundamental part of like they're not my people. Like that's that's the real and honest truth. I think it's I think it comes out this is where like the visibility plays in like two ends where it's like I can keep for example with any of the videos that I'm doing right for this I'll use that as an example because that's more of an opportunity to reach mainstream right that ends up being a place where I am creating content specifically for my clients. So people that I work with one on one or in a group program, if there's something that comes up, like if you were my client April and we were talking about something, I would create a video for you and then distribute that going forward. That actually kind of gets back to the the shedding light on one
Yeah.
and also hitting on both, right? It's like
So
that's yeah,
yeah. So I'm glad you can't you're coming right back, right?
yeah,
Because that's what actually was going. How do you change a culture? You could have some seminars and you could sit people down and talk to them about sexual harassment, but how do you really change a culture?
yeah. Do you want to know? Because that is something
Yeah.
that I do. I like. I and there's multiple dimensions to it all, but like the one of the number one things is that it takes time. It takes a lot of time,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really it's all the things. Is what I say. It's all the things. It's all the cues out there, and so it's from this perspective here. I'll just kind of make it. I think there's certain parts. How do you change the culture? Let me just answer this question. There's defining what is the culture to some extent, and there's part of it is cultivating and saying, okay, hold on, here goes the weeds from what we have in here. Like it's been here, but we're taking this part out, and here goes the best part of our crop. We're gonna focus on this. Like this is who we are here, right? And so it's like getting back to the core of who we are and really getting back to identity and values and what we stand for, right? Like and making sure that that is something that at its core all can all be come back to, and there's a sense of identity around it. Other elements in there include when I say all the things, it's like it's Sure, it's the seminars and workshops and things like that, sure, but it's what happens, it's all the things that happen in between. It's the conversations we have, it's the way that leaders are showing up in the world, in their world, as in like, if let's say this is a culture of celebrating and valuing the things that make us different, then it's like how that is rewarded throughout by both the leaders and by the rest of the group members,
And it's
right?
highly, but isn't it highly individualistic? Like
Tell me more.
they need to, in order for a person. Okay, so for example, I come from a place of safety, right? I used to, my
Mm-hmm.
previous life before coach, I was worked in a safety environment, and we talked about changing culture. How do you get this group of guys who they are used? They have this community, they have a tribe, they keep each other safe and get each other home. So it's very close knit. At the same time, if one person, if the tribe has a culture that they don't take a safety measure, then when someone tries to do that, the tribe um, kind of gives them a lot of drama about it, right? But if the tribe has a culture of being safe, and when a person tries to do that, the tribe also um, encourages that behavior,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
to the point, yes, it's time and it's that training, it's being clear about the culture, but it's one to one in the sense that each member of the tribe has to personally connect to the culture.
Absolutely. I think that goes back to the first thing I'm saying. Like it's about the identity part, right? It's like who are we? What do we stand for? What are our values here? If safety is part of our thing, like then it makes perfect sense that this person is doing X, Y, and Z. Or if safety is one of our things and we're not actually doing this, is safety really a part of our, is that really a part of our culture or not? Yeah. But I think I like, to me that's where it all derives from.
Mhm.
So I feel like we're on the same page there. It's like, all right,
Well, but culture change, I guess what I'm trying to, I'll just say because I can't think of a
yeah,
question, but culture change happens in the heart and the mind of a person. It's individual. And then when all of the individuals agree individually to accept that heart and mind change, then that becomes a tribal culture. And bring that up to say that first, does that resonate with you?
let's play with this. Let's play with this here. Because there's so much of it that does, and I want to see where this goes. And I also want, part of my goal in this conversation is to think differently. So let's continue this line of thought, and I'm just allowing myself to shift my brain into that. So let's go with yes,
So
and
you
then
keep
continue.
okay. Okay. So you came back to one on one. We were talking and you're like, you know what? It's coming back to the one on one. And that's what was coming up for me. One on one. How do you change your culture, mind and heart of an individual who agrees to accept this for themselves? Oh, and by the way, I want to be a part of a culture that also accepts what I accept in my mind and my heart. That's a one on one light touch versus the ocean. And I'm wondering how that lands for you.
Yeah, it lands as very true. And I think I want to make sure I'm seeing the difference for us here, because I think it lands as really true. And I think maybe even spending some more time on like what is one on one versus the ocean for both of us here, because I think that there's an element of depth, speed, scale that is right now a bit unsaid between the two of us. So I think like it feels different, you know. So when I think one on one, it's like when I do something with someone one on one, it's deep, it's long, it's intensive, and it's like it's private, you know. And that's, so when I think one on one, that like that's where it comes in there. And I'm like, as someone who's done like culture change, it's like it happens in a collective environment as well, right? But the individuals are going through that. So it's like, okay, how do we get the buy-in? How do we get the sense of ownership around the culture? How do we get, like, for me on an individual level, do I feel heard? Do I feel seen? Do I feel like I identify with this? Does this feel like I've been able to touch it in any kind of way? And I think the question that's going on through my mind at like that I want to make sure that we can kind of clarify, because I feel like we might be missing each other, and is around how do you do one to one at scale? And I don't mean it like, I don't really mean it like in a sense of like scale that's using technology. I think that's not what I'm talking about. But it's like, I don't know. It's like when I think about when I do my podcast, it's like I'm having a one-on-one conversation with people that several different people can listen to. But I'm not trying to think about, hey, how is every single person in the world going to be able to get something out of this podcast? It's like, actually, what's the value for this one person that's here, and then it's multiplied versus diluted.
Let's let's step back 1 second though, because I feel like there's an opportunity for us to come back to the leading question that we started our conversation with, which is, who do you want to be as a thought leader? And you talked about your identity, community versus the world, having people following me. Um, and I'm wondering, you and your power, empowering the early adopters. I'm wondering if that affects how you view your business and where you want to take it, so that you are able to be this thought leader. Be a thought leader who creates content versus a
Yeah,
content creator.
yeah. I think it. I think I got it with the belonging shift when you asked the question, what if you already belonged? I think in that moment, that question was like, that thing was answered. Or it's like, all right, if I already belonged, like, I would do the things that would, you know, I would do the things that would get that where people will come and follow. One way or the other, they will come and follow. I would just have a container for them, but I'm not trying to. How do I get you to follow me? That's not the case. You know, if I already belonged, I would do things, and the people who resonated with it would follow. Right, and it's a very different part of like, of just like the energy of like, I'm creating this. It's awesome. You can come be a part of it or not. That's also, everything about it is awesome. But I'm like, my worth, my decisions, every all that. It's like, it's going this way. And if you become a part of the community, then your input, your questions, all those things are going to help inform where we go in the future. You know, but like, this is happening, and that's a very different energy than, I'm a content creator, where it's like, I'm just gonna put up some posts and see what people think, and maybe they'll like this one, or maybe is this the right way that's done, and how am I gonna get my 200 people to come into my face, and how's this gonna link up so that they'll come and join the Facebook group, and it's just like that. All that feels so heavy. Versus the place of belonging, where it's like, this is my thing. I don't even know if it makes sense yet, but my people are still gonna follow me. One day, it will, like, someone will come in and be like, oh yeah, Nemo, you've been talking for 5 years about all this stuff, and it really just fits into X, Y, Z. And when that happens, April, I promise you, either I'm going to author a book, right? Like, I'm going to author a book. And the book, it's so funny because people come out, they're like, you should write a book. I'm like, write a book about what? Like, right? Like, and then what? I'm going to try to just sell this book? Like, the book will come. But I have like this thing in my mind, going back to being lazy. I read it from the coach Dan Sullivan, where he's like, how he authors a book every 90 days. He's like, I am the author of this book, but I'm not the writer. I thought that was so cool. Like, he has a process that involves him talking and being interviewed and all that, and the rest of his team takes that, and he has his own structure and everything like that. He has like the structure of it all, but he just literally just has conversations to explain the thoughts, and then it's like transcribed and then edited and then put into like, the rest of the team writes the book from there. But he's the author. It's still his words. You know, he's still involved throughout the process. And I think like, for me, that's the level of belonging, that and level of visibility that I'm like, oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. Like, if things are written on there, if you see written content, it's probably not written directly by me, but it's still authored by me. It's from a video that I had made and said, hey, can you turn this into a blog post that other people can get? Because I don't want to, I haven't really, I'm not going to spend that much time on distilling the message
Mhm.
in that format because that's not how my brain thinks.
Yeah, you're
But
the
I do
video
want to make you
guy.
get that.
Yeah,
Pardon?
you're the video guy.
Yeah.
You
And it's
absolutely come across very strongly on video, in a
exactly.
beautiful way. Like that's how you, that's you and your power walking down
Yeah.
the Singapore. What is that?
Yeah.
That
Just like
canal?
this, like just by the river. Yeah. It's like a part of the river that's right there. Yeah. I'm just like, this is it.
That's you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I really feel that that shift around that came like the word I just need to go back to is but like the sentence is, you know, you already belong. What would you do if you already belonged? How would you show up if you already belonged? Right? And then it's just instant lightness for me. Like that is the levity question. Right? That's the fun question. What would I do if I already belong? Then I don't have to worry about it. Literally everything I do is right. Literally everything I do is right.
Sounds powerful.
It's incredibly powerful. Like I feel it, and this is like, and what you're feeling right now is joy power. It's like I don't care. I'm good. You know, like come at me with whatever you want, but like I'm great.
Wait.
You know, I am great right now, and I'm having a good time, and you can come be a part of it. That's cool, or not. I'm
Wow.
having fun no matter what, and the rest of my tribe, we're gonna be there. We're gonna be there. And I think if I can just to tie in the second part of it that like that really hits that there is early adopters versus mainstream. Well, there's probably two parts to this part: early adopter versus mainstream. And I think that's what slowed me down when people are like, well, how does the mainstream doesn't have time for this? The mainstream only has a minute. You know, a mainstream like you have to catch their attention. It's gonna take 2 seconds. You have 5 seconds to get it. And I'm like, my message ain't a 5 second message. You know, I'm talking about the issue out there that no one like that's on people's minds, but like but it's either deeply hidden or like no one ever talks about it. It's like loneliness versus feeling alone. 3 seconds go. You know, like that. This doesn't feel like it really hits there.
No, I
So
get it. Yeah.
yeah,
A 50
and I'm
Instagram photo, video, or a minute long for a post. Yeah, I get it.
yeah.
I'm
It's
larger than
like
that.
it's larger than that. It's deeper than that. You know, and at the same time, I found that there are times where I can come up with a post like that. Like, but my post is going to make you think. I'm not here to give you an answer. I'm here to like open up your thinking processes. You know, and
Right.
that can be done in a minute. I can get you to think in a minute. So I think that's really important for me. And then the last thing that I want to make sure I don't forget, is I, I have to think. I have a coach who does she does this thing called story seekers, and her name's Julian, and she's helping me think about like the customer hero story, and where the customer is a hero, and she's the one who first suggested it. She was like just telling a story, which is like Nemo. When you tell your stories around what you do, like it's not about you, it's about it's about them being the hero. And she's like Star Wars is about Luke Skywalker, but like you're Yoda, you know? Like Harry Potter is about Harry Potter, but you're Dumbledore, you know? And like it's like oh, it wasn't until this moment here that I realized that it's not just in the stories that I tell, it's actually how I operate as my business. And it's actually way more fun for me this way because I'm like I can't be Dumbledore helped Harry Potter and all the other people in Hogwarts. You know, like there are a lot of great people that came from that. You know, could he do it all on his own? No, but he had a lot of capacity, and he had his battles that he fought for himself. But he was both training that person and creating space for them. So,
It's
yeah,
oh, yeah.
yeah, it's a totally different way of approaching this though. Versus like Nemo is a crusader that's out there to save, you know. Versus hey, hey crusaders, I got your back. Hey pioneers out there, all of you that are early adopters, all of you that are pioneers in your own way of thinking, in your own way of seeing the world, and own way of doing things differently. I have your back. Like this is a place to find your other people. This is a place to get new equipment, to rest, to to join your saloon, like to like all this stuff here. Like this is your spot,
Right.
you know. And then go back out there and do what you got to do.
You are Nemo the empowerer.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah. That makes
Yep.
sense.
Yep.
Um, okay, this feels complete. I want to check in with you. Does this conversation feel complete for you, or is there another place for us to go?
Right now, I feel great. Because I feel like it also hits on the laziness part there. It's like if I belong, then I can just do whatever the hell I want, and I'm going to choose the thing that is like most fun for me, and set up the systems that allow me to keep doing what's fun, right? And that's the lazy aspect. Maybe it's more like I like to have fun. I don't know if the language needs to change around that. Um, but yeah, if I belong, that's the question right now. That's the $1 million question. What would I do if I really belonged? Boom, done. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's almost if
can't wait to see what you create.
yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited because I have no clue. I have no clue what I'm going to create. I just know I'm going to create a lot of value. I'm going to create a place for my pioneers out there, for all the pioneers out there, and it's like they're going to have some fun.
I see you with like a cape and like super. I guess it wouldn't be an S. It'd probably be like N or something like that. And you have your cape in the back, and yeah, you're like, I'm here to empower you. I'm here to for my creators, my pioneers, and my what's the other word? Early adopters.
Early adopters, yeah,
You need like a little moniker so that you can show that.
yeah. I feel it. I feel it, and it's like it's what's going on through my mind is how do I say who's the person? I just can't think of it. Like I feel that that's the case. I feel like I want more of the flag down, and it has all that there, and it's like I don't know how to describe it. Like I want to empower. I want everyone that comes into my world to wear the costume. You know
Like
what I mean?
I love it.
Yeah. It's like look, I don't need to go out like you said, like Nemo, you don't need to go out to go be helping out the mainstream and do all that stuff. Like your thing is for those people who find a flag, who come out there and they're like it's like the bat signal and they came to you. You support them.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. I
Yeah.
love it. I
I
love
do too. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, yeah, that's about right.
it. That's
That's about right. That's it. Yeah. And
um,
that's a great place to lead from. It's a great place to be thinking from, and just to know like this is it. I'm here. I am here, and I'm Dumbledore is really cool to me. So I'm like, I am here as your Dumbledore. I'm here as your Yoda. Like this is about you.
okay,
Yeah.
good.
Thank you for this. This is like yeah, my brain is moving, but it's also like feels very concrete too. So thank you.
Good. Let me follow your journey. Continue to follow your journey. And thank you for being open to exploring.
Thank you, April. Thank you for the time. Thank you for your wonderful questions.
I'm going to